Buongiorno. In June 2019, the government of Italy and the government of the United Kingdom have reached a partnership agreement for the 26th Conference of the Parties, COP26, of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Within this agreement, the United Kingdom will host COP26, while Italy will organize the preparatory session pre-COP26 and a youth event on climate change titled Youth4Climate, Driving Ambition. The events were planned for the end of 2020, but they were postponed to this year due to the pandemic emergency. Youth4Climate is going to start on next September 28, in 2 weeks from today. Therefore, 2021 is a crucial year for climate change fight. From one side, recently we are observing an increasing number of natural disasters all around the world, which calls for immediate action on global heating mitigation. From the other side, political awareness on environmental and sustainability issues is getting momentum worldwide, and this leaves hopes for a very successful output for the meetings in Glasgow. In particular, Prime Minister Suga committed Japan to engage for climate neutrality in 2050. We are very pleased to have in Japan a friend and an ally to reach the common goal of climate neutrality within 2050, and we are sure that Japan will play an active role in forthcoming COP26. In the preparatory activities for COP26, Italy, for the first time, is empowering youth with the possibility of contributing to climate change policy. The Youth4Climate event will engage young participants in discussions to develop and finalize their proposal for climate change fight. The selection of the delegates was performed after a call. Over 8,700 applications were received and carefully evaluated, and nearly 400 participants from 186 countries, aged between 15 and 29, were selected. In this video, we will hear the expectations, ideas, ambitions, and enthusiasm of Y4C delegates from Japan, UK, and Italy, hoping that this will increase the Japan awareness of the youth power in climate change fight. Thanking the Embassy of UK to Japan for the collaboration in the project of this video, I leave you to the vision of the urgent appeal to act now expressed by our youth. Grazie.
皆様、こんにちは。駐日英国大使のジュリア・ロングボトムです。英国とイタリアは今年の11月に英国グラスゴーにて COP26 を開催します。先日発表された IPCC 報告書では、今すぐに気候変動対策を強化しないとすれば、10から20年後には地球の気温上昇が産業革命と比べて 1.5 度上昇してしまうとのデータが公表されました。COP26 は気温上昇を抑える最後のチャンスです。気候変動対策を加速するためには、国、地方自治体、企業、市民の一人一人が今、行動を起こす必要があります。特に最近では気候危機を訴える若い世代からの声が世界で大きくなっているように思います。今、気候変動対策を取らなければ最も影響を受けるのは若い世代です。彼らのためには今行動を起こさなければなりません。若い世代と今、共に力を合わせて気候変動対策を進めることは必要不可欠です。協力は英国が COP26 にて掲げる4つの目標のうちの1つです。COP26 開催に先駆け、 若い世代が集まり、気候変動対策について話し合う Youth4Climate というイベントが今月イタリアのミラノで開催される予定です。日本、イタリア、英国の参加者から気候変動に対する思いについて彼らのメッセージを受け取っている Youth4Climate にて交わされる議論や結果について聞くことを楽しみにしています。
For too long, we have created this false imaginary between a developed and developing society. We have fashioned countries like ours as developed because of our economic capital, but we have characterized lower-income countries as developing. But we understand today that this notion is highly misconstrued and outdated, and overlooks the multiple forms of development found abundant in many countries, but lacking in ours. Just think of the frontline communities who have been safeguarding and restoring our lands. Think of the communities that have managed natural resources through gender-inclusive ways. And think of the communities with the lowest emissions profiles. In a country like Japan or the UK or Italy, the services and commodities that we enjoy are a product of a lengthy and oftentimes a global supply chain. The food that we eat, the clothes that we wear, and even the knowledge that we consume may have been procured, manufactured, transported, packaged, and exported across national borders. And while we might not be able to see it visibly, the amenities and luxuries that we've become so conditioned to enjoy have often come at the expense of our environment in the communities that have been subjected to this labor. Sometimes this labor can be precarious. Sometimes this labor harms our natural resources. Sometimes this labor can exploit poor people. Sometimes this labor is built off the backs of communities of color and those who live in the global south. And sometimes this labor has been performed by those who resort to unsustainable livelihoods because there is an international market that demands so. In this way, we can see that the notion of development is not such a binary thing. We realize more and more that we are all part of an interconnected society, and that coming from Japan or the UK or Italy, our actions and decisions in life have implications in other parts of the world. The burden of climate change has been completely disproportionate, one that has mistreated people of color, low-income communities, indigenous people, incarcerated people, women and children, and older folks. To be truly developed, we must look at the many aspects of society that have sustained and enabled climate change. At Pre-COP, I want to listen to stories of those on the front lines who have needed to adapt to a changing climate because of the very luxuries to which I have had access. I want to understand how I can play my part in holding institutions of power accountable, especially from a heavy emitting country myself. By learning from other young people, policymakers, and ministers, I hope to push the needle in setting a clearer pathways to reaching the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, and to ensure that on our path to a decarbonized society, we can reconcile the many local and global injustices and inequalities that have governed our way of life for far too long. It is not too late to reimagine a society that works for everyone, but we must be willing to pursue it.
創価学会インターナショナルの山下隼人です。近年激しさを増す自然災害。日本でも毎年多くの命が奪われていますが、気候変動がそれを後押ししていることは間違いありません。そのため、気候変動の経済的被害を最も多く受けている国の一つが日本であるとも言われています。未来を担う若者はこうしたことに深く心を痛めています。COP に参加する各国には何としてもさらに野心的な目標を打ち出し、行動を起こしていってほしいと思います。その上で私が関心を寄せているのは、気候を意識した社会、Climate Conscious Society の中の意識啓発の分野です。現在、日本政府主導で CO2 の削減の流れができている一方、市民レベルでの気候変動に関する関心はまだまだ低い状況です。特に若者の間では、無力感や諦めの雰囲気も漂っています。今後、気候変動対策をさらに加速させ、温室効果ガスを排出し続ける経済の仕組みを変えていくためには、 市民の意識啓発が不可欠です。今回のユースサミットで私は2つのことを提案したいと思っています。一つは気候変動枠組み条約第6条とパリ協定第12条で提唱されている気候エンパワーメントのための行動 ACE Action for Climate Empowerment を各国が推進し、施策に積極的に反映すべきであるということです。意識啓発の重要性は条文で強調されているものの、それを自国の施策として推進しているのは一部の国にとどまっています。気候変動について学ぶ機会や意思決定プロセスへ参加する機会が増えれば、市民レベルでの意識啓発も向上し、個々人のライフスタイルを見直すきっかけになります。また、これらの経験を通して得た学びは、温室効果ガスの排出削減に向けて、企業や政治家への働きかけにもつながり、社会全体を脱炭素社会へ移行する推進力になると考えます。私たちの団体もデータだけではなく、個人の体験のストーリーなども活かしながら、そうした啓発に取り組んでまいります。第2に、気候変動の問題に関わる意思決定への青年の参加を促すため、国連安保理決議などを採択することを提案したいと思います。平和・安全のテーマでは、すでにそうした決議が存在しているので、十分可能なことだと思っています。また、もう一つ、これは日本政府に対してですが、若い環境活動家を招集し、国内のトップリーダーが若者と意見を交わすユースサミットを開催することを提案したいと思います。歴史を振り返れば、私たち若者が声を上げ、時代を切り開いてきた事例が多数存在します。スウェーデンのグレタさんの例もまさにそうです。今行動しなければ私たちの未来は奪われてしまいます。諦めや無力感を打ち破って共に行動を起こしてまいりましょう。
Hello, my name is Federica Gasbarro and I am a climate activist and the Italian delegate at Youth4Climate COP26. For the first time in history, young people have a voice during the decision-making process. Climate change is the most relevant issue we need to deal with. We are growing during an existential crisis as well as a transversal issue who concern with inclusion, human rights, economy, of course. My proposal is based on 3 priorities urged to be discussed. First, establishing rules for carbon markets, covered in Article 6 Paris Agreement. Give financial support from developed countries to developing ones, because the most vulnerable countries can't set up with climate action without help. Last but not for importance, try to find resilient and adaptive models to face the consequences of environmental disaster. Lots of people are dying, suffering, and losing their homes because of climate change. So we need to act, help, and find adaptive solutions. If we don't act right now, there will be no future waiting for us. So no more empty words, but action. We are still in time. I expect governments from all around the world to treat this as it is, as a crisis. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniele and I am the delegate of Italy for the upcoming Youth4Climate Summit. My expectations for this very event are really high because I know that this is the first time in history that such an event is going to happen, and this will bring in Milan almost 400 young people from all over the world, and this means having different opinions, different experiences, and also different ideas on the very same topics. And I'm really looking forward to learn from them, but also to share my very own ideas in order to shape a document that in the end is going to be very useful to the whole governments. So not only the Italian one, but also to the other ones. So yeah, my expectations are really high, and I'm really eager to be there. At the same time, when I'm going to be there, I'm planning to send 2 proposals. The first one is about raising awareness on climate finance, and the ultimate end of this proposal is to raise funds in order to fund projects on adaptation and resilience, always related to climate change, in order to reduce the gap between the global north and the global south of the world. And my second proposal is about education. In my idea, there should be a general and common knowledge about climate change and also about sustainability. So there is the need to stress out a bit of cooperation in order to provide a concrete action in order to implement climate education and sustainability education in every school of the world, because I truly believe that that is one of the most effective ways in which people can actually understand how this world works, and they can also understand how to have a better life and also how to provide a better life for everyone. And in the end, I also believe that, or better, I hope that the Italian government, but also the whole other governments are going to listen carefully to our proposals, to our action, because I truly believe that all the ideas and all the action that we are going to provide, they are not going to stay only there in Milan, but there is the need to implement them, and also there is the need to put them into practice. And I mean that at the Italian level, European level, perhaps also at the global level. If this is one of the choices that I really hope that is going to happen, and I'm sure that in the end we will work all together very hard in order to make a real change. And also I truly believe that the whole governments are going to listen to what we are going to say, and they are going to implement those actions, because it is very useful to talk, but in the end what we really need are concrete actions, and I truly believe in this event.